I said I had one more play to tell you about. I meant today, the 140th day. I have several more plays, maybe 3 or 4 Shakespearean plays that I want to tell you about. Richard III, it is a history. Shakespeare's plays are divided into tragedies, comedies, and histories. It's a history. Richard III may be Shakespeare's most evil character. There was a king, Richard III, a king of England. I'm not so sure he was a hunchback, but he is played in Shakespeare's play as a hunchback. And he basically is willing to commit any amount of murder in order to become king and to stay king. He kills 2 little boys in their beds. He drowns a guy in a barrel of wine. The weakest part in this play for me is when he convinces a woman to marry him. He's ugly, he's evil, and he has killed this woman's husband. And yet he convinces her to marry him. This is to become king. I've watched that scene, I've read that scene, I've watched that scene several times, and it's hard to make that work. That for me is a weak spot. But it's curious to see how Shakespeare could write that at all. Anyway, it opens with a very famous quote. "Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this sun of York." Well, of course, summer by the sun, but this is a pun on the word S-O-N. And the winter of our discontent, you know, this has been winters are always kind of hard, and that's often quoted. That opening speech, I had a student, Blake, that he was, I don't know, he was close to a genius, I think. He's now a linguist for the military, but anyway, he performed that one time, just that. We didn't do the whole play, he just did that opening speech because he wanted to do it. Richard III lays himself out as being admittedly evil. He knows he's evil. He's ugly, dogs bark at him, children run away from him, but he knows that. I don't know, it's a good speech. It's worth looking at. And the other famous quote is toward the end when he's undone. He's knocked off a horse in a battle. And a knight with all that armor on, once he's knocked off his horse, he's dead. And he shouts, a horse, my kingdom for a horse." Those are about the only 2 quotes that I can come up with. But anyway, there is a film version of this I think is worth your looking at. It stars Ian McClellan. It was made 1995, Richard III. Now, warning, it is set... I have used part of it with my students in school before, the opening scene, because it's set in the 1930s in England. But as Wikipedia says, it's a Nazified England. It's a militaristic England. The setting is kind of different, but it was okay for me. I liked it. So that one I recommend. Sir Laurence Olivier maybe did a better Richard III. People maybe would say so, but that's the one that I recommend you at least look at the opening scene. And if it catches you, go for it. See you tomorrow.